What's up? It's Joe Raiti from Raiti's Rides. We are here in San Diego for the first look of this particular vehicle here. An iconic name, but guess what? With a total new look. This is it. This is your 2023 Honda Accord. This is the first look of the sport trim in that beautiful radiant red. But before we get into this top-selling mid-size sedan from Honda, let's talk about what's going on here. Everybody knows that when it comes to reliability, dependability, Honda is one of those top premium names. Now, it all started with the Civic, then it spilled over in 1976 with this car here. The Honda Accord has won tons of awards over the decades and has been a #1 sales sensation. Now, for 2023, Honda is bringing some changes. We've already brought you a walk around of the top touring trim. This particular trim is the sport trim. So I want to kind of focus on what is unique about the sport trim, but while we're talking about it, I also want to compare it to another top-selling Japanese midsize sedan, that Toyota Camry, specifically the sporty XSE trim. So let's go ahead, let's dive into this radiant red, like I said, Accord Sport, and see if it's the better midsize sedan to be buying over the Toyota Camry. Let's go ahead and find out. Right off the bat, all new sheet metal. The vehicle is longer and the track is a little wider. And if you're wondering what is the track, that is the space in between the wheels. So you have a little bit extra width between the wheels and tires up front and out back. At the front of the business, we have all new headlight design. LED headlights, daytime running lamps, and turn signals. On the sport trim, you're gonna notice some flat black. Kind of digging the flat black because it makes the grille look a little bit smaller, which I'm gonna show you in a second. As we drop down, you do have functional corner air curtains. So that's a very nice touch. Gloss black around the air curtain and on the lower lip splitter. One thing it is missing is any kind of fog lamp. So let me know if you think that that deserves a zonk on this Accord Sport. If you're comparing it to the Camry, Camry has a very aggressive look, but there's a lot of non-functionality to all the bits. I do like the way they made this piece functional, and I like the way on the Sport it's gloss black. Now, as we come across that low slung nose, you'll see the new design interpretation on the grille. Let me know how you're feeling about this. When we brought you first the top touring trim, a lot of people were calling this a Ford Fusion grille. Are you changing your mind now with those flat black accents on both sides underneath the headlights? Or do you still think that this grille looks something like it belongs from another vehicle like the Ford Fusion? In person, I'm digging it because I like the way it's got a little bit of a concave design to it. And I'm also digging the actual design shape with all those triangles, full functionality up top with that iconic badge. And then as we drop down in the center, you have functionality on the lower portion. And like I said, that lower lip gloss black on the sport trim goes all the way across. Now, when we get up onto that low, long slung hood, it's taken the same design philosophy from the Civic, from the Pilot, creating more space from the A-pillar forward. And that's where we get a little bit more length on this 11th generation Accord. Clean body lines coming up from the front fascia into the hood. And I like the way the hood fits flush instead of coming all the way to the front of the grille area. Now, as we come around the bend, what are we working? Wheel and tire setup. So you're gonna notice on this Honda Accord, you're gonna get these satin flat black wheels. So I like the actual design on the sport trim, different than the touring trim, 19-inch wheel. It's a very simple design, but like I said, it's working for me. 235 on the width, 40 series sidewall. Sport trim is gonna have retuned suspension, a little bit work done with the brake package, and you do get regen braking because this Sport is a hybrid trim. And we'll talk more about that when we pop the hood, but much different looking wheel. Smallest wheel is gonna be a 17-inch wheel. This wheel is a 19-inch wheel. Now, as we come down the side, you'll see how they took that horizontal belt line and brought it down the side of the vehicle looking really great. You have color matched on the mirror caps. If you come on in, you have gloss black on the mirror caps, color matched on the door handles here, nice and clean. And I'm liking the way on the bottom portion, look at that side sill, gloss black. And you'll notice how the aerodynamic efficiency, it actually extends. Lori's gonna swing in and show how it extends at the front, and then it tapers in towards the center of the door, and then it flares out just a little bit as it comes towards the rear. But this radiant red in the California sun, it's like the California raisins right now are gonna be singing and dancing because this thing has a crazy sparkle to it. You do have a standard size sunroof on the sport trim, and you do have a gloss black shark fin antenna. And to kind of wrap it all up, you do have gloss black around the window treatment, only on the top though, not along the bottom. I like that touch. Now when we come to the rear, this is where you're seeing a lot of that change. They got rid of the stapler taillight design, that lobster claw taillight design. Let me know how you're feeling about it. You got your LED brake lights, looking really good. LED turn signals, no Thomas Edison bulbs. Up top on the trunk, the sport trim gets this great looking trunk lid spoiler. And I love the effect of the roof line onto the rear glass and then over this trunk area. Of course, we got the Accord name, which I am gonna have to zonk, not the name, but they should have done gloss black. They should have done gloss black on all the badging, including the hybrid badge, but you can see Sport, they went ahead and did a badge, dropping it all the way down. What's great about it is that there's no exhaust showing. And I'm glad that they took that route, because if they would have done fake exhaust like they did on the Pilot, you know we would have had a zonk it, but you could see the great work to the underside of the diffuser area here on this mid-size sedan, looking very sporty. Definitely a cleaner design over the Camry, but why don't we go ahead, let's pop the hood and talk numbers on what's propelling this new Accord. All right, guys, high up on the mountaintop for this first look. Stay tuned because the first drive is going to be February 7th at 9 a.m. Eastern time, but let's continue with this sport trim. So underneath the hood, you'll notice that you do have a prop rod. The one reason why I'm not going to zonk it is because I do like the way that you can actually adjust it to service mode, and that opens up the hood even wider. So that's the one nice thing having over a hood strut, is you have that flexibility. Underneath the hood, Lori now has a bird's eye view of the power plant. So the sad news is, the big zonk is gone, is the 2-liter turbocharged engine from the Type R. What you have is in the sport trim is a 2-liter inline-4 hybrid engine. This is the 4th gen hybrid system. It uses 2 motors, 2 electric motors. It produces 204 horsepower, 247 pound-feet of torque, 0 to 60 in 6.2 seconds. And Honda claims that this does not use a CVT, that it's based off of the 2-motor electric system. And like I said, that's the new 4th gen system. But 0 to 60, 6.2 seconds. Comparing this to the Camry, MPGs, this thing is really reigning supreme. 46 in the city, 41 on the highway, and 44 combined. You now have 4 drive modes to go through. And like I said, we have those 19 by 8.5 inch wheels and about 5.3 inches of ground clearance up front, which is going to help with parking the vehicle. So definitely Honda wanting to bridge the gap from ICE, internal combustion engine, to obviously full electrification, and that's one of the reasons behind this. We can't show you the actual driving impressions yet. That's going to come February 7th, but let's fire this up and see it in motion. All right, guys, we're inside this 2023 Honda Accord Sport L trim, and I'll tell you what the L means in a few seconds. I know you're saying to yourself, well, Joe, I've been looking forward to this Accord I've been looking at the Camry. My grandmother had a Camry. My sister had a Camry. My mom had a Camry. My baby brother was born in a Camry. But I'm liking this Accord. How much is it? So this particular one, the way that it's spec'd out, has an MSRP right at $35,000. Let's see what you get and how it compares to the Toyota Camry, to the door panels. So you're gonna notice that usual typical Honda clean design. Soft touch material throughout the whole door panel and no gloss black. I like the contrast stitching and the easy accessibility to the switch gear, both for the door locks and the door windows. Now the door pocket is a decent size, maybe two of Randy's Donuts right over in LA and a bottle of milk to wash it down. Going from the door panel to the dash, little bit of gloss black in the center and down below. One thing to know, that the Sport and the Sport L does not have the Bose sound system. If you want the Bose, you gotta step up to the Touring trim. Love the way they did the simulated stitching here and soft touch material. And of course, that intricate design with the AC vents. It's stuff like this that when you compare it to the Camry, it makes the Camry feel dated. Now the infotainment system, large and in charge. This is the first time on an Accord, or really any Honda product, where we have a 12.3-inch infotainment system. Let me show you some of my favorite features. First of all, you got the side screen that you could scroll through a plethora of information, including a good old-fashioned clock. Of course, you have your usual setup of all the icons. Let me show you two of my favorite things here. So we're gonna go into vehicle settings. It shows a Honda Accord. Now hold on a second. We're in a radiant red Honda Accord. That is not radiant red, but watch this. We go into menu, body color, and now you have all the colors of the rainbow and the colors of the Honda Accord. And of course we have radiant red right smack dab in the center. And then you go right back to home. Now, the last thing I want to show you besides the backup camera is, of course, our power flow gauge. And they do it right. I mean, look at that. That's Gran Turismo spec, 32 DPI on the actual pixel integration, looking really clean. Remember, front wheel drive, and there's that battery pack at the rear of the vehicle. Speaking of rear, throwing it into reverse, it's not the clearest resolution, and that's definitely a zonk, but I do like how easy it is to go throughout the different angles, which is great. Then you go right back into park. Now, one other thing I want to show you is when it comes to vehicle settings, so we come back to this setup here, we can go into what kind of readouts do we want and how we want everything calibrated. So we're going to go into individual settings, powertrain, steering, ACC, and the gauges. And watch this. You want powertrain to be sport? You could do that. And I love the way it actually shows the engine underneath the hood looking really good and everything else. But as we continue down, you do get dual climate control, nice LED readouts. We got that bright red power on button because remember we're in a hybrid. 3 stages of heated seats. No ventilated seats on a Sport. You got to step it up to Touring trim if you want the ventilated seats. But you do have 3 stages of heated seats, 2 USB-Cs, and a nice pocket here for 8 California Twinkies. Nicely done. 2 cup holders. This is going to control that direct drive transmission. Little bit of gloss black. Really, you shouldn't be touching it, to be honest with you. We have our Honda key fob, the new key fob. Good size. Spin it around. You do have remote start. We got our drive mode selector switch. And at low speed, you can run pure EV. Nice soft on the armrest. Lift it up. What do we got? We got papers in here. We're going to get that out. You got a 12 volt. You could easily put, I would say, 26 Atari 2600 cartridges. And guess what? We're not far from the original corporate headquarters of Atari. And remember, Atari is an American brand, not Japanese. And that's why they called it Atari, to sound more Japanese. And the one game that we want to keep in here for sure, away from prying eyes, is E.T. The hardest game to play, and it sucked, but it's one of the most valuable. Go figure. Seats. The L gives you the leather. So Sport L gives you leather seating, nice bolstering, electric assist for the passenger, electric assist, of course, for the driver. And what I like about the Sport is that you get the darker headliner. Touring is going to be a lighter headliner. And then you get your standard size sunroof, which I'm okay with because this is not the top trim. But why don't you come over to the business end? I want to show you 10.25 inches of digital gauge cluster behind the wheel. Come on over. All right, guys, business time behind the wheel of this Accord Sport L. You got 2 memory seat settings, pedal box right out of a race car. Love the aluminum dead pedal, brake pedal, and throttle. Looking good. Lots of room for even people with big feet. And then we got our seat controls. That lower lumbar is going to save you trips to the chiropractor. This is a larger Accord, especially lengthwise. You're going to feel the space in here. Steering wheel, leather all the way around. Just a little bit of gloss black, flat black on the buttons. You do have paddles to go through the different levels of regen braking, manual tilting and telescoping steering wheel. And then you got that 10.25 inch digital gauge cluster with 4 different driving modes: individual, sport, normal, and econ. I also love the way that you can adjust what's in the center. So for example, I'm going to spin around here and make an adjustment to the center. You could bring up your compass, speed and time, range and fuel, all the readouts, even the power flow, which is kind of cool. On the Sport L, you're not getting a head-up display. If you want a head-up display on an Accord, you have to go full Touring. But why don't we go into the back seat and see how this stacks up to the mighty Camry. All right, guys, back seat time, and that's another area. Besides the front seats, you're gonna get more passenger room for your rear seat passengers as well. I like the way there's plenty of headroom. Remember, I'm 6 feet tall. You saw how much room I had up front. I have just as much, maybe even a little bit more, sitting in the back seat. Now, the back seats do have the leather all the way around, and one big zonk is you don't get any AC vents nor USBs. If you want AC vents and 2 USBs, you gotta go up to the Touring trim. And to me, that's a bummer. At least give me 1 USB-C. Or maybe 2 old soup cans and a piece of string so I could talk to somebody. I have a supersized pocket over here, and I could easily put, I would say, 7 pieces of California KFC. If you're wondering what the heck is California KFC chicken compared to regular, that's where they take pineapple sauce and put it over the chicken. Give it a little bit more of a zesty feel to it. So when you go surfing, you could hang 10. But hanging out back in this rear seat area feels good. You do get a supersized armrest that is soft as can be. Flip it back. Why don't we go ahead? Let's get into the trunk of this new Accord and see how much room there is. All right, guys, time to get into that trunk area. You're just gonna hit the button right underneath the Honda badge. It lifts right up super easy. And what you're gonna be greeted to is more cargo space than the previous generation. 16.7 cubic feet of space. What I did was I wanted to show you what it looked like with the seats folded down. That 60-40 split, that's gonna allow you to go to Costco and get those larger, longer items like the 300 pack of toilet paper that you wanna hoard before something happens in the world again. You could fill this up with at least a couple of those big old packages. And what I like about it is that the handles are conveniently placed right up top to fold those seats down. There is no spare. So let me know how you feel about that. No spare on this one. Now, I know you want to go on throttle with me. I want to go on throttle with you as well. It's one of those relationship things that we have here on Raity's Rides. What you need to do, set your clock, mark your calendar, tell your friends, including your neighbors, February 7th, 9 a.m. Eastern Time is the first drive of a Honda Accord, and we got a special surprise. It's not exactly this one. We have something a little bit different, so you don't want to miss it. But you know what? we need to catch a plane or we're gonna be stuck here in California. So let's go ahead and wrap it up. All right, guys, we're doing a bunch of California dreaming out here in San Diego. Don't dream too much. Stay tuned February 7th at 9 a.m. Eastern time. Mark your calendar for the first drive of the new Honda Accord. Can't wait to bring it to you, but we definitely got to thank the whole Honda team, the American Honda team, for inviting us out to be able to be the first to showcase not only the sport trim, but also the touring trim. Let me know in the comment section what you think. Do you like this better than the Toyota Camry, or are you gonna go the Toyota route? Let me know in that comment section. But if you're new to the channel and you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. Come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Raiti's Rides family. We gotta give it up to the hardest working camera person in the whole galaxy. Lori, working that camera like a champ. Show her some love in the comment section. Thank you, Lori, for all that you do. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.